Another turn, maybe 4 or 5 days ago, is when Gerard Pique comes out on Instagram, takes a picture of him and Neymar and says he's going to stay. For a little bit more context on that, let's listen in to an interview with Hannah Storm and Pique.
So everything that you do gets a lot of attention, and especially a tweet that you sent out recently about your teammate Neymar, and of course this big story about a potential transfer to PSG. What led to that tweet?
I don't know, sometimes Neymar and I, we are really close, and I want him to stay, and I know the situation. I know that right now he doesn't know what to do, and we are trying to help him, the ones that we are more close to him, to take the right decision. But we will see. The tweet was about, I don't know, push him to stay. I want him to stay. And we will see what happens.
What's the best piece of advice with all your years of experience, and really you exemplify everything that Barcelona is about? What have you said to him?
I don't know, it depends on what he wants. I mean, he can be in all the clubs in the world. I mean, he can choose. He can be at Paris or Barcelona or Chelsea City. All the clubs will want him. It's about your priorities. What do you want? You want more money? You want to win titles? It's happening here with the NBA as well. There are some players that maybe they are not earning all the money that they deserve to win titles. So sometimes you have to take decisions in life, and it's all about priorities.
All right, so guys, no surprise there. Gerard Pique, like everybody else at Barcelona, all fans of Barcelona, want Neymar to stay. Gab, I know you've been asked this every single day for the last 2 weeks, but today, where are we on this thing?
I think every day that passes and he doesn't speak, you have to ask yourself, all right, he's not just happy just staying with the status quo. He either wants to leave to go to Paris Saint-Germain for a different stage, more money, whatever else, or he wants something from Barcelona. A year ago, obviously, we were in the same situation with PSG, and he ended up getting a new contract. The thing is, can he go back and ask for a new contract now? Is that what he wants? Is that going to be enough to satisfy him? It's only been a year, and not a great season for Barcelona either. So you put these things together, and you tend to discount that Barcelona can give him something that's going to make him want to stay. And so I think you definitely lean at this stage towards him leaving.
To get back to the Piqué interview, I read another report out of Spain last week that said the locker room was going to be the thing that convinced Neymar to stay. You've been in a locker room. Is that realistic when we're talking about these massive sums of money, this massive opportunity?
If you just evaluate this for Neymar emotionally, and he's not making a decision based on the money, based on the spotlight, if he's making a decision on what fits him as a player, then the locker room can have a part in that decision, or at least present a counter-argument to what seems to be the argument of the family and the surrounding area and the circle of trust of Neymar, who seem to be saying, hey, it's your time to shine somewhere else. It's time for you to go somewhere else. You can get this money. You can do this big thing. You can be the guy. And I know that that can be a powerful source of information. The only way to counter-argue that is with the locker room and the power that you have within that locker room. And it has to be Lionel Messi, and it has to be Luis Suarez, whether they reach out to him and say, hey, we have something special here. Don't pay attention to the noise. Pay attention to what we can accomplish. I don't know if that's a good enough of an argument.
But that's the thing. There's quiet from Neymar. We've heard next to nothing from both Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez as well. And as far as influence in that dressing room, I don't think it extends any further, despite which Gerard Piqué would have us believe, and despite his comments of a couple of weeks ago, which he had to walk back rather quickly. This comes down to the three of them in terms of who has the influence, or two, who has the influence to make Neymar stay, and Neymar's decision ultimately will be his own. I don't see how anybody else comes into play, anybody else in that Barcelona dressing room comes into play.
But if we feel that there has to be an argument made by the locker room, he needs to be convinced to stay, it's because he's already out the door. It's almost as if it's a last-ditch effort to say, hey, Neymar, we can do things here. If he's already gone, it just feels very difficult that they can track him back.
I think it also means plausibly that, again, if it is down to the teammates convincing him, then you would kind of conclude, and we're in the realm of speculation, that something happened or there's something else that we don't know about in terms of locker room dynamics. If that's all it takes, if it's them sitting him down, putting their arm around him, convincing him, you can only assume that something went wrong, something happened, and now it's up to people in the locker room to walk it back. Frankly, I find that really implausible.
Yeah, but the board is not going to convince him. Barcelona is not going to convince him. So who would have a personal relationship with him to have him take a decision to stay rather than what seems to be a already made decision for him to go? The only people that can do that are those that are very close to you, and it's not the family because the family wants him to go.
Exactly.
So then you're running out of options. It has to be the players.
There really is no other story this week than Neymar's potential move from Barcelona to PSG, and it took, I think it's fair to say, an ugly turn yesterday, or at least an ugly development. While Barcelona is training, Neymar involved in a training ground dust-up with Nelson Semedo. And the question begs, is this just a thing that happens in training, or should we be reading more into this? I'll go to the players first here. Ale?
I think it's just something that happens in training. It's hot, it's preseason. Players don't particularly want to be doing preseason, going through that sort of training. Semedo is probably trying to make an impression because he's a new player coming into Barcelona. Neymar doesn't appreciate it. And yes, he's got a lot of things going on in his mind, things and decisions that he has to make. And then, of course, maybe he gets frustrated and goes in and there's a fight. But a fight in training is really not breaking news.
Shaka, he storms off the field. Whether it has anything to do with a potential transfer or not, it doesn't look good, does it?
No, it doesn't. The optics aren't great. And to Ali's point, this is an issue only because of the story, of the story that continues to bubble in the press. Otherwise, players having a little bit of a dust-up on the training ground is nothing new. It's happened yesterday, it'll happen today, it will happen for a long time to come. That's doesn't concern players, doesn't concern me in the slightest.